Hello spider fans, welcome back to the Tarantula Cave. My name is Martin, and if you're in Manuel Antonio in Costa Rica, or you're thinking about visiting Manuel Antonio in Costa Rica, then you need to check out the Jungle Night Tour, and all the information is right here. Here's the deal, me, my wife, our 2-year-old son, and one of my great friends from university, we found ourselves in Manuel Antonio during our trip to Costa Rica. We had, I think, 6 nights there, so we were thinking of what to do, and we figured doing a night tour would be really cool because there are so many frogs, so many amazing frogs, as you will see from my Costa Rica frogs video, to be seen at night in Costa Rica, plus some really cool spiders, really cool arachnids, just cool stuff to see. So we had a look around and we spoke to the hotel and asked them if they recommended a tour, and one of the leaflets they had was for the Jungle Night Tour, and we thought, well, okay, we'll check it out. Maybe they will take kids, maybe they won't, because obviously if you're going to go on an animal, any kind of animal tour, wildlife tour, a major concern is if you have very young children that make a lot of noise, you probably won't see that much wildlife, because the number one rule of wildlife spotting is keep your mouth shut. So we rang up and spoke to a guy called Brian Jimenez, who runs the Jungle Night Tour company, and he was like, well, we've got a party already that you could join, but I'd rather you didn't join them because you've got a 2-year-old boy and he might ruin it for everyone else. So I'm going to ring up another guide that we have and maybe he can give you guys the tour. So I'll get back to you, which he did, and he got back to us, and it was amazing because he was just like, yeah, we arranged it, I found a guide, it's fine to bring your kids, obviously we'll take you on a slightly different route in a different direction to the main group, but yeah, we'll pick you up, see you at the meeting point, and we'll do the tour, which was great. So as it turns out, we're the first group to be picked up, and Brian's driving the minibus, and we got chatting to him about stuff, and it felt like we got on really well because it was my 5th visit to Costa Rica, and he's obviously Costa Rican, and we both share a huge passion for wildlife. So we were talking about different experiences and how great Costa Rica is and all this stuff. And we picked up the rest of the group, and we picked up the other guide, Gregory, who was really cool. And we set off. We arrive at their private nature reserve, and the first thing that happens is we pass a car coming the other way. The guy winds down the window and goes, "Oh yeah, there's a boa constrictor just making its way up the road. So if you're quick, you'll see it." So this is like an amazing start because we haven't even arrived at the start of the tour yet. So Brian drives up the road, we spot the boa, he leaps out, he picks it up in a really sensitive way, so he's controlling the head, but there's not too much pressure. Definitely not cruel, but just so that we could experience the amazing snake. I used to have a very large boa constrictor when I was younger, so to see one in the wild was just like mind-blowingly awesome. And Brian held it so that my son Milo could touch it, and he was just like obviously amazed, as all kids are, by big snakes.
It's a boa constrictor, alright? It's one of those species that plays an important role because they prey on animals. I saw right here in this refuge one of the largest boas that I have ever seen in my life. Could eat a child bigger than this.
So that was a great start, and then we got to the meeting point, and then Brian decided actually he wanted to lead our group. So it was basically the 4 of us and Brian, who kind of runs that bit of the business, showing us around the nature reserve, which was just like, how lucky is that? So we're sitting there talking around, thinking, passing out torches and working out what we're doing, and then someone spots a snake in a puddle behind the area where we're standing. So it's like, oh right, there's this snake there. That's really cool. And so we're like looking at it, and then we're like, is it a snake? Isn't it a snake? And then we realised it was a snake, but it was in pre-molt, so it had its eyes clouded up. It was busy trying to molt its skin, shed its skin, and so that was a really good start. And then we kind of set off with Brian through part of the jungle, and we saw everything, as you will see, I've basically shared lots of photographs and videos of things that we saw with Brian, but the main point I want to make is that he tailored everything about our trip to what we needed, you know. So I'd said to him already, you know, I run a YouTube channel about tarantulas and spiders and invertebrates and cool stuff like that, so I definitely want to see any cool spiders you have here. And he did not disappoint, you know, and arachnids as well. So we saw wild whip scorpions, which is tailless whip scorpions, which is amazing. Never seen those in the wild before, and they were all over the place, basically living on these palm trunks.
Oh yeah! Oh my god! Animals are actually viviparous.
Yeah, live birth.
Yeah, viviparous means they give this is
There, look.
Oh yeah, that's funny.
And he showed me several ogre face spiders, which are really cool, also called the net casting spider. So these are spiders that kind of hang suspended with a net between their front legs, and then they just drop the net on their prey, and they were amazing to see.
You're the first person that I can remember the last month that is interested about arachnids. It's a group that people don't always like.
We're trying to be on phone, Daddy.
No, it doesn't have it
No,
on his
not on my phone.
That's amazing. They
That is
are
a
crazy
big old
spiders.
thing.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
I have seen them catching, like I have seen them almost flipping all the way around, like a 180 degrees to the left, and catching.
What else? We saw some really cool orb weaver spiders, and then the kind of star of the show, if you like, was Brian was like, we have these spiders here that we call mata caballo, which is like horse killing spiders basically. And I'm like, oh my god, what is a horse killing spider? I have no idea. And in the back of my mind I'm thinking probably some kind of Phonutria species, a wandering spider of some kind, or maybe just a really big like huntsman, like a Cupienus or something like that. So anyway, he kept the suspense going for the whole thing. So we saw all the cool spiders, we saw frogs, we saw a kinkajou, which is like this arboreal mammal, which is like pretty hard to see. They're really secretive, but we saw one. What else? We just saw loads of cool stuff. But then right at the end, just when I thought he'd forgotten about the mata caballo, Brian just goes, right, so we're now going to enter this grove I know about. It's a grove of heliconias, and these particular spiders, they just hang out on the dead leaves of the heliconias. So we'll just check this area out and see if you see them. And I kind of spotted this quite big huntsman looking thing on a leaf. I'm like, here it is. And he's like, no, that's not it. And then he goes, this is it. And there's this massive Phonutria, like basically a Bolivian wandering spider, Phonutria boliviensis, just huge and awesome and brilliantly camouflaged against the dead leaves, the leaves hanging off the heliconia. So I think we saw 3 in the end, but they were all massive and all amazing, and what an experience to see those.
What have they got from them? What do you mean?
Yeah, and they favor this habitat.
Those turning it on
They're
the spine.
leaves.
Shelter, you know, spiders like to be in a dry space.
Particularly.
So finding 2 good specimens is always cool. What are these ones? These are calatheas, or related to bird of paradise. There is a malachite butterfly.
And then what happened? Then we kind of finished that bit of the tour. We came back to the meeting point. On the way back, my friend from university, Jethro, he saw a scorpion in a tree. So that was cool, like an actual scorpion up a tree. I always think they're going to be under rocks and kind of on the ground, but this one was definitely very much in the tree, about that sort of size. And then we got back to the base camp, sorting all the stuff out again, kind of finishing off, checked on the snake, and lo and behold, sadly for the snake, there was a caiman, a young caiman kind of crocodile living in the pond where the snake was, and it was eating it. So it didn't get to shed its skin. It instead became dinner for a caiman. But that was crazy. And then just to cap things off, when we thought like all the amazing wildlife sites couldn't get better, my wife actually spotted a young fer-de-lance just coiled up underneath one of the benches right where we were all stood. And actually one of the English guys on our tour had been sat on the bench 2 minutes before. And apparently when they're young, that's when the fer-de-lances are most dangerous because they don't regulate the amount of venom they inject. So if you get tagged by one of those, it's kind of game over time, really, like big bad news. So you need to get to hospital, and it's going to be dicey. So that was amazingly exciting. I've got some really nice photos of that, which you'll see. And then we all left, and we were just saying how lucky we'd been to see the boa, because they're not very easy to spot. You know, to see the ogre-faced spider, to see the matacaballo, the kinkajou, the red-eyed tree frogs, all those cool things, and particularly the fer-de-lance. And then just when we were like all joking and laughing, we were like, oh, shame we didn't see any sloths. And then on the road up the hill to drop some people off, there were 2 sloths making their way along 2 of the telegraph wires in different directions, like slowly making their way towards each other, and then stopping and checking each other out, and then moving on.
Oh, hi. What's he doing?
He's hanging.
He's hanging, yeah.
Oh, I think he knows the other one is right there. He's like, shoot, I took the wrong cable.
So we like kind of got a bonus amazing sloth experience thrown in on the end. Yeah, just like, if you know, it's one of those things, like if Carlsberg could make a wildlife tour, then it'd be like that, you know, probably the best tour in the world. I don't know, I can't say enough about it. Brian was brilliant, his knowledge was excellent, he knew so much, he dropped a load of facts that I really didn't know about some of the things that we saw, and I generally pride myself on my wildlife knowledge because it's the thing I love most in the world. But yeah, amazing knowledge, really great guide, obviously fantastic English, yeah, perfect. And the only other thing I would add for anyone who isn't already sold on this, if you have got a young kid with you and you're thinking about going to Costa Rica with a young child, then definitely bring a kind of kid backpack, kid carrier thing. So we have the Deuter Kid Comfort 3. We're very lucky to have that. It's kind of quite an expensive model, but we managed to get it for free because we know nice people. But something like that or equivalent, so that when you've got your kid with you, you can just stick them in the backpack when their legs get tired and you'll be fine, essentially. I think people forget that the jungle is very loud at night anyway. You have cicadas calling, crickets calling, frogs going crazy. It's not like completely silent. So there is some flexibility in terms of the amount of noise you can make. And of course, if you're looking for invertebrates and cool spiders and things like that, then they're less bothered by sound anyway. So it's all about what you do with your torches and how careful you are in terms of freaking things out with light. But yeah, I think for that particular tour, they were really accommodating, put the tour together for us. We saw incredible wildlife. And if you check out their Facebook page, which I'll link below, the photos they get on a regular basis are insane. So basically, it's a 5-star review. You need to do this tour. I've waffled on a long time, but hopefully you're sold on it. I was completely sold on it, and Brian's a great guy. By all accounts, the other guy, Gregory, was also fantastic. I think they saw a couple more things than we did, one more snake than we did, which was good for them. But the other group didn't see the horse-killing spiders, so we totally won there. That's about it. Thank you so much for checking out this review of the Manuel Antonio Jungle Night Tour. If you are interested in other animals you could see in Costa Rica, then do check out my 2 weeks in Costa Rica playlist. I've linked it below, but there's also a card up here. If you're interested in arachnids and spiders in general, definitely feel free to subscribe to this channel. I post a video once a week, often twice a week, sometimes even more when I get kind of crazy. Your support is much appreciated, and I will see you next time.